The dust of the Arizona plains never rested on the shoulders of Samuel Cutter for long. The wind carried it away just as it carried away everything else he had once loved, his wife, his son, and the laughter that used to echo from the porch. For 12 years, he'd lived alone, the walls of his cabin hearing more silence than words. But one morning, in the dusty market of Tonto Crossing, his life took a turn he didn't expect. A grizzled trader shouted, "Last one." The last Apache woman left behind. The crowd turned. Some men spat tobacco and walked away. Others stared with cruel amusement. Tied with a rough rope around her wrist stood a young woman, tall, proud even in her defeat, her dark hair tangled, her eyes burning with quiet fury. Samuel hadn't come to buy anyone. He'd come for mule feed and coffee. But when the trader barked, $30. She'll cook, work, and keep a man company, ain't no others left of her kind, something deep in his chest stirred. He hadn't seen eyes like that since his wife's, fierce, alive, untamed. He found himself saying, 20. The trader scowled. She's worth more than that. Not to anyone here, Samuel replied quietly. A few men laughed. Buy her, Cutter. Maybe she'll curse your fields green again. Samuel laid down the money. The rope was handed to him like a leash. He didn't pull it. He just said, "Come." She didn't move at first. Then, with a silent dignity that made the crowd uneasy, she followed him into the sun. The trail home was 20 miles of heat and silence. The woman didn't speak. When he gave her water, she turned her head away, only drinking after he had walked ahead. At dusk, they stopped near the dry creek bed. He built a small fire and cooked beans. He slid a tin plate toward her. "Eat," he said. She looked at it, then at him, her jaw tight. "I ain't gonna hurt you," he added quietly. Her voice came like gravel underfoot, rough, uncertain. "Why you buy me?" He stared into the fire. "Didn't buy you. Bought company." She frowned, uncomprehending, and ate in silence. Days passed before she spoke again. She wouldn't give her name. So Samuel called her Rain, because she came into his life like something long missed and half forgotten. She worked the land without complaint, milking the cow, fetching water, chopping wood. But she never smiled. At night, Samuel would sit on the porch and talk softly to the stars. About crops, about the storms that never came, about the ghosts that lived in his dreams. Rain would listen from the doorway, her expression unreadable. Sometimes he caught her looking at the horizon, the far mesas glowing red at sunset. There was longing in her eyes, and a pain deeper than words. One evening, as coyotes howled in the distance, she whispered, "You alone many years?" "Yes," he said. "Too many." She nodded, understanding loneliness even across the river of language. Months passed, and spring brought faint green to the fields. Rain had learned to hum when she worked. Samuel noticed it one morning, a haunting tune, low and beautiful, like the wind through canyon stone. He stopped plowing to listen. She turned, startled, her cheeks flushing. "Old song," she murmured. From before, all gone. He wanted to ask what "all gone" meant, but he already knew. The Apache camps had been burned. Their people scattered or killed. She was the last. That night, when a storm rolled across the hills, Rain came into the cabin trembling. The thunder made her flinch. "You're safe here," he told her. She shook her head. "Thunders sound like guns. Men come. Fire. My mother," her voice broke. He set down his coffee and stepped closer. "Ain't no one gonna hurt you here." For the first time, she let him touch her hand. It was cold, calloused, human. Summer came harsh and dry. The creek turned to dust. One morning, Rain didn't return from fetching water. Samuel's gut twisted. He searched the ravine until he found her, standing still as stone beside a shallow grave. "What's that?" he asked, breathless. "Bones," she said. "Apache woman. Maybe my kin." He saw the bones were small, fragile. A woman and a child buried together. Rain fell to her knees, chanting softly, the sound carrying across the empty land like a prayer. Samuel felt something stir in the wind, a whisper of sorrow that didn't belong only to her. When she was done, she looked up at him. "You bury people too?" He nodded. "My wife. My boy. Then we same," she said simply. From that day, they shared meals, stories, and silences that didn't hurt. He taught her to read the sky for weather. She taught him how to find water by following birds. Sometimes she'd smile now, a small, rare thing that made the house feel alive again. But word spread. Men talked in Tonto Crossing. Some said Cutter kept an Apache woman like a pet. Others said he'd gone mad. One night, 3 men rode up, drunk, loud, cruel. Samuel stepped out with his rifle. "You got no business here." The leader sneered. "Heard you're keeping a squaw. Thought we'd see her for ourselves." "She's under my roof," Samuel said coldly. "And that's all you need to know." The man laughed. "Ain't no law says you can own an Indian, Cutter." "I don't own her," Samuel said. "She's free." The drunk grinned. "Then we'll take her." The first shot split the night. Samuel fired before the man even drew. The others fled, leaving their horses behind. When rain ran out, she found him standing still, breathing hard, smoke rising from the rifle barrel. He said quietly, "Ain't nobody taking you again." She stared at him, trembling, not from fear, but something deeper. "Why you do this?" He looked at her, voice breaking. "Because I got nothing left worth fightin' for, except you." After that night, something changed between them. Rain no longer looked at the horizon. She looked at him. The mornings grew softer. She would bring him water before he woke, humming her old song. Sometimes, she'd trace strange symbols on his hand, marks of her people, she said. Protection, strength, memory. Samuel didn't know if it was love or salvation, but he felt alive again. Then, one dawn, riders appeared, soldiers this time. U.S. Cavalry. The lead man barked. "We're collecting remaining Apache fugitives." Rain froze, eyes wide. Samuel stepped forward. "Ain't no fugitives here." "She's one," the officer said, pointing. "Orders are clear. You'll have to shoot me first," Samuel said quietly. The officer's jaw tightened. "Don't make this hard." Rain touched Samuel's arm. "No," she whispered. "No more blood." But Samuel shook his head. "They already took enough from you." The officer's patience snapped. "Stand aside, farmer." Samuel lifted his rifle, just once more. A single gunshot echoed across the plain. When the smoke cleared, the officer lay on the ground, clutching his side. The other soldiers held back. Samuel lowered his rifle slowly, his eyes distant. Rain rushed to him, but before she could speak, he staggered. A red bloom spread across his chest. "Samuel," she cried, catching him before he fell. He smiled faintly. "Guess I got what I wanted, company." Tears ran down her face, dropping onto his shirt. "You no die alone," she whispered. "I stay." He looked at her, those dark, wild eyes, and saw everything he'd been missing for years: warmth, purpose, life. Then he was gone. Weeks later, travelers passing through found the cabin silent. The crops still stood, tended by unseen hands. On the porch, 2 graves rested side by side, one marked with a wooden cross, the other with a small circle of stones. They said the Apache woman stayed there until her last day. Sometimes, at dusk, locals claimed to hear a woman singing near the hills, a haunting tune carried by the wind, mingling with the whisper of the grass. Some swore it was just the wind. Others believed it was rain, keeping her promise, that the man who bought her freedom would never be alone again. And on stormy nights, when thunder rolled over the plains, the lightning would strike near Cutter's field, lighting 2 shadows standing side by side, still together under the endless western sky.